Okay, on this podcast, we are going to be talking about e-commerce versus real estate and what is more profitable.
Yeah, this is huge. Let me ask you this, Dan. If you were starting, because you do both, obviously, right? If you were starting right now, let's say you had a couple $100,000 to invest, you could start by building your real estate portfolio or start e-commerce business. You don't have the option of doing both. Which path do you go down?
So obviously I own a few e-commerce stores, companies, businesses, whatever, and I own real estate. To be honest with you, if I didn't own both and I was a little bit conservative, I'd probably do real estate.
Interesting.
And the reason why I would probably do real estate is because I know it's safer. And you also don't need that much money to start an e-commerce company.
Yeah.
That's
true.
So like, you know, I started all my e-commerce companies like with way less than that. Like we're talking maybe, I probably started CanadianProtein.com with like a couple $100, not even.
Jeez.
So, you know, all you need is domain, like, you know, and I learned how to do graphics work myself and code myself a little bit, like basic shit. I took a template, like a website template, and started. There's so many, you know, back then there weren't that many. There wasn't like a Shopify or like there might have been, but I didn't know about it or whatever. But there wasn't like the ease of building sites wasn't as easy as it is today.
Yeah, like you could start e-commerce in a lot of ways. You could do drop shipping, right? We actually don't even have to own any product. So there are ways to do it cheap. The first thing that comes to mind for me is like I went down the real estate path for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know how much work it is to start a business. Even if it is e-commerce, I bet you a lot. You got to do everything yourself. Yeah, coding, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Number two, the thing that came to my mind is, well, if I'm buying a real estate portfolio, I'm still going to have a job to produce income because you're not going to build enough income to support your lifestyle with one or two properties. Like it's just not going to happen.
No.
Whereas starting with e-commerce, that's going to be your source of income. Yeah. Although it's probably going to take you a while to build that up, right?
Like another issue. I don't know if issue is the right word, but another caveat or nuance with e-commerce is like there's so much competition these days. Like you really got to have something different. You got to really bring something different to the table, or you're not going to get any traction. Like what are you going to do better? What are you going to do different? What is like what are you going to produce? What kind of service are you going to offer that's not similar to anybody else? Like you have to bring, and not that can't happen. Like, you know, obviously when I started my e-commerce businesses and brands and stuff like that, they are different. They were different. And that's why they caught.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. And that difference could be, we just market better.
Yeah, there needs to be a differentiating factor.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that you have to spend more necessarily.
No, like Zappos, right? Yeah. Like Zappos I don't even know if Zappos is still owned by Amazon, but Amazon bought Zappos a while ago. The only thing that they really did different was way better customer service.
What's Zappos?
What?
I don't even know what Zappos is.
Is it Zappos, Dave? The shoe company. They started with shoes. Is it Zappos? I don't know. There was a company that Amazon bought that was notoriously... It is Zappos. Look it up, Dave. Can you look it up? I'm pretty sure it's fucking Zappos. Amazon bought Zappos based off of their... They gained popularity. Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's a shoe company. So they bought them solely based off the fact that Zappos came into the market and offered outrageous customer service. So I actually remember, so I'll do this. I'll do like certain case study things, like not case study, but like I'll test certain
A/B testing.
Yeah, I'll test companies, and this is what I did. So I called up Zappos, okay, and I was like, okay, let's see actually what they do in terms of customer service. I said, listen, I bought this pair of shoes 6 months ago. I've been using them and running with them. They hurt my feet. I want to return them. They said, okay, no problem. We'll return them this one time. And I'm like, okay, but I've been wearing them for 6 months. They said, okay, no problem. We'll accept it this time, but next time you got to kind of know what you're buying. Like that's insane customer service. It's not like that I'm returning these shoes and someone else is fucking buying them.
For sure. I think that's a great business tip. You call because, you know, you have a totally unrelated business, but customer service is something that's transferable to all businesses.
I often look to other industries, not my own industry, for customer service, because I still feel to some extent like the industries that I'm in happen to be behind the curve. They're not ahead of the curve.
That's true.
Right. Yeah. And then not only are, you know, who knows, maybe actually some are, but not that I'm aware of. Yeah. But I like to take inspiration from companies that are kind of like leading the way in terms of like, you know, different facets, customer service, design, marketing, like whatever. Right. So I like to take and the majority of the time, what I found is the industries that I'm involved in aren't on the cutting edge of those things. So I look to like Nike, who knows what else, like, those big Apple. I look to those kind of brands. And like, even if you were to go to like, say, Canadian Protein's like Instagram page, it doesn't look like your typical nutritional company.
For sure.
It really doesn't, right?
So you don't have the arrogance to believe that you know everything, you do everything the best, right?
No,
it's a bit of humility to say, hey, I got to look to these people that are doing better than me.
Yeah.
And then what can I take from them?
Yeah.
Rip off, duplicate, or redevelop into my own thing, or whatever. So that's a huge business tip.
I guess what we could do too is like owning a portfolio of real estate and owning an e-commerce company. If I were to say what is actually more profitable, if you're able to get your e-commerce company like popping off, for sure e-commerce. Like no question. Like
you can reach the world from your computer.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You're global.
It's scalable.
Yeah. Relatively low overhead.
But is it fucking hard?
Yeah,
like especially now, it's hard. Even when I was doing it, like, so when I was doing it, there was like no social media, like there was social media, but not like it is now.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard, man. Like
it's
actually hard.
And that everything's hard.
Yeah.
Right. You want to go build a portfolio of 100 properties. That's going to be hard. You think it's going to be easy?
Yeah.
It's doable.
Yeah.
But I think if you're going to go into something, you got to count the costs ahead of time. And I think if you got into e-commerce and stuck with it and learned the game over 2, 3, 4 years, you're going to figure it out if you stick to it for the most part.
Yeah.
And it can be very profitable, but you're not going to step into the game typically and just start making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Even the fact that we produce brands, right, with synergyprivatelabel.com. We produce, you like that one? We produce brands, right? And I've seen, over the course of working with like hundreds of brands over the years, it's you can see which ones and who will be successful.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great point of view to have. So just so the people listening understand, somebody comes to you and says, hey, I want to start a protein line or protein pancakes or whatever. You're going to develop the packaging, labeling for them.
Yeah, we do everything. We make the entire line for them.
And you also manufacture the protein or whatever it is they want, right?
Yeah.
So you get to see which brands are doing what and which ones are going to be successful. I bet you can you spot ahead of time?
Yeah.
Like, hey,
so there's a couple things that I've actually noticed over the years. Number one, realistic expectations. There's nothing wrong with shooting for the stars, but like realistic expectations.
This applies to everything.
Yeah, really.
It really, real estate. Whatever.
It really does, because like, we had this one guy that was, that we were talking to, and he was like, hey, I really want to do this and I want to do that. And we're thinking, okay, well, that makes sense and everything. And then he's like, yeah, I'm within 3 months, we're going to be doing, $500,000 in business. And I'm thinking in my head, holy fuck, like, how long it took me to get to $500,000 in business? Like when I was doing it.
Yeah.
And
you're sitting there like, okay, well, that's just might not be realistic.
Yeah. And then what is he doing? He's putting in a couple $1,000 order, right? And he's trying to like grind us on the price. Oh, and I'm like
couple $1,000.
Yeah, a couple $1,000. Like you have to have like some realistic expectations here, expectation management. I think a lot of people, when they're actually starting their brand, I know I mentioned differentiation. They're trying to produce a different product that isn't well known. Okay,
what's an example?
So I'll come. How can I actually put this in words? They'll come up with like a formula that they think is a great idea. Great idea. And it might be the next best thing. But the problem is they actually don't have the marketing and advertising budget to educate people on the fact that it is the next best thing. So what ends up happening is you get this like amazing formula, a really cool product, but nobody will know about it.
Nobody wants it. Nobody's
going
to buy it.
It's more expensive. That shit always costs more, right? When really what the actual right answer should have been was they should have started with the basics, but maybe their design is a little different. Maybe their initiative is a little bit different. Maybe their advertising has a different kind of swing on it. Like start with something that, don't try to reinvent the wheel if you're going to start. Do things a little bit different. That doesn't require a shit ton of, educating the public.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Or the general population.
There's this rule I heard one time where beginners make the mistake of trying to innovate first.
Yeah.
Instead of starting with the basics, then you innovate afterwards, right? Because
exactly.
you need the capital.
You need the base.
Yes, you need the base to produce the income to innovate and then you have the money to advertise and educate people. But when you're starting out, you got nothing.
Yeah. It's wildly expensive to try to educate people.
Yeah, to try to niche down a market and advertise is going to be expensive. And you're not going to be, typically as a beginner, you're not going to have the money to do manufacturing, new product, and educate people. Yeah. It's just not realistic.
Yeah. Now I will say this, when you talk about like niche down the market, I actually do think that that's the right move. I don't think that niching down the market with a very unique product is the right move.
I agree.
I think niching down the market only. Yeah. So say, for example, you want to offer like a very specific product to a very specific clientele or a customer base. That's the right answer.
I agree.
And one of the reasons why it's the right answer is because it's extremely easy to sell to that demographic. Yeah. It makes it that much easier to sell to that person.
So give me an example. Let's say you wanted to start a protein line for bodybuilders, right? Yeah. It's going to be the same protein as everything else. You're just going to market it differently.
Okay, we'll do it this way. Say, for example, I wanted to produce a line of product. What I'm going to do is I'm going to produce a line of product solely and specifically designed for keto diets.
Love it. Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Like something along those lines where it's extremely niche, okay? And become the market leader in a very specific niche. It's much easier to do that.
But the product that you're going to sell isn't going to be something new.
No, it's not. And that's the thing. Like, it's not necessary. Exactly. It's not like a keto diet still requires a normal protein. But I haven't.
The people that go on the keto diet, you're just going to target them in your marketing, but you're going to have probably the same product as everybody else. Right, you're not.
But you're targeting them different.
But you're targeting them
exactly, and that's a lot cheaper than trying to come up and blow the world up with this new innovative product.
It's too hard. Yeah.
Look at Elon Musk. Like how much did Tesla cost to get going?
Oh man,
you know what I'm saying, right?
It was a nightmare.
It's a new product, right? It's a new kind of product. It's tough. I'm not saying it's not like doable. Yeah, I'm not saying that.
But he's the only one that could do it. Yeah. People tried to do this against the automotive industry for a long time. Yeah. He had to break through. Yeah. It's very rare.
But he did it with different marketing and advertising and things like that.
That's an aberration. That's not the norm.
No,
right?
Of course.
Most people would have done that and failed. Yeah. They almost failed numerous times.
So what I did when I started Canadian Protein is I actually looked to the market. There was nothing like it available in Canada.
Right.
Zero. Right. There was fucking zero. Yeah. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah.
So that's what I did, right? So that's what you should do. And if you're going to offer something in e-commerce, I also think it's a big advantage to look to your own life and find, hey, what product do I wish I had? Yeah. Or what service do I wish I had in my life that I don't? And if there's a gap, you fill it. You're probably not the only one, right? Yeah. And then there might be an existing product that you use or consume or whatever service that you use as well, but you're not getting maybe the best service from the company. So that might be an avenue that you might want to go down, right? Like, hey, I really like using these products, but this company who's like the leader in the industry, their service is like super shit, right? Or maybe the company that you really like, their service is amazing, but their product is shit. So change that. Like make it, like come from a perspective of like the product and service that you're going to put out there trumps.
Or maybe the product is great and the service is great, but their marketing sucks. Maybe. Like I don't vibe with that brand, right? Like if I just did that and that and marketed to these people that I understand because that's my demographic, I think I could sell this to them.
It's always a good looking to your own life to fill a void for products or services or whatever is always a good starting point if you want to start a business. And then the best business to start based off that would be an e-commerce business.
I agree. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how I buy my real estate. Yeah. Would I live here? Yeah. Would my demographic want to live in this location, this type of property, these level of finishes?
Exactly.
And if they don't, well, it's not for me, right? So it's very, very simple. So what other things do you see when these brands try to start up their e-commerce brand or whatever, and you're seeing them from kind of the ground level, right? Because you're doing all the stuff for them.
They're trying to produce the greatest what's that? The next best thing. The next best thing or the next greatest thing, whatever.
Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, unrealistic expectations. They don't have the proper amount of money to do what they want to do. So it ends up kind of flopping.
Do you see the same thing like I see sometimes in real estate, which is I don't have a job, I have no money, but I want to buy real estate. I don't, where they're coming to you and saying, "Hey, I got like."
I don't see that in particular. We may very well see that. I'm not really like involved in that anymore. I kind of more see it like on the high end. A lot of people worry about like useless shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're spending a shit ton of money on like, like label design when like tweaking this and tweaking that and tweaking this. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I'm kind of a perfectionist, but at some point you got to get the fuck going.
Yeah.
Right.
Like I think this is massive.
Yeah. Like it's almost like what I see is they're trying to like postpone, putting their product out there because they're afraid.
Yeah,
They're trying to push it down the road so that
debating about small things, but debating really about fear.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like
where this wording should be a little bit higher, or whatever, something stupid.
Yeah. So
right?
I see that a little bit where people are, they're just kind of like moving, they're kind of pushing it along. And I truly do feel like that it's a mechanism to protect themselves from the fear of failure.
I think the inability of people in general to zoom out and look at the big picture of anything. Like I see so many people, they zoom in so close. Like even if I'm showing a house, like, oh, there's a little bit of mold in the bathroom on the thing, whatever. Right? Like, and that's all they can see. Instead of zooming out and saying, hey, the real estate market's like out of control. There's not enough housing. I can deal with that. Like here's the big picture. Same thing there, right? Like the big picture is this little bit of word. It's not going to affect anything. But you're right in that I think it's an excuse.
Yeah, I think I do. I think it's an excuse. What else do I see? That might be an interesting.
What about
kind of
the
nuance.
wrong mindset of the leader or the person trying to do this? In that they don't have the fortitude maybe to stick it out. Right? They have this dream and whatever, but as soon as they hit a couple hurdles, they're like, "Oh, I'm out. I'm out."
I don't see that. No, not really. Again, I'm not like the guy talking to these people anymore. I see from the brands that they put out. I see from the designs going out. I see from talking to sales reps what their hurdles are with dealing with these guys. I had another one that I just forgot. Fuck, it was right on the. It was a good one too.
Right before I cut you off.
Yeah, right before you. Yeah.
How do you like it?
Ignorantly cut me off. What the fuck was it? It was a good one too. Shit, dude. Whatever. We'll keep going. I'll remember.
All right. So let's say this, right? Yeah. Of all the things you've seen, of all these brands started, if you had to break it down into a few tips, okay? You're starting a brand right now. It doesn't have to be protein or whatever.
I remember. Okay. Leverage the people around you, including like the people that maybe are making your product. I see a lot of people that do not take our suggestions. And I don't understand why they wouldn't. We've been in it for, X amount of years. We've got some, very successful brands going. Like, why would you not leverage us? I don't understand that.
Because they know about, they know more than you.
So humility.
Yeah.
Like when you're starting a business, you need humility. Yeah. I truly feel, Dave, I don't know, maybe you can attest to this. I'm never really closed-minded to much, right? Like I'm very open. Like I want people to suggest. I'm constantly like these fucking guys must think I don't know shit because I'm constantly in the off. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? Like I never make a decision only on my own merit.
I can attest to that.
Ever.
You run stuff by me all the time. Like I don't know anything about your brand. Why are you asking me? Right? Like, but it doesn't matter. You're just getting feedback.
Yeah,
right?
you might have something. I never take anybody's criticism lightly.
And that takes humility. Yeah. Because arrogant people don't do that.
Exactly. And I feel like, when people are creating these brands, maybe some people that I've seen, not all, but some have a level of arrogance about them where they think that their product is going to be the next best thing, or they're like the next fucking, Shark Tank entrepreneur. And it just is.
Meanwhile, they have done nothing.
Yeah. So I think people need to, take suggestions and take them seriously.
Actually,
and have a level of humility.
Because I think starting a business is way harder than owning real estate.
Yeah,
I think it takes a lot more fortitude, especially to start. What are the character traits necessary to do what you've done and stick to it and get to this level? And I want people to listen to this because if you're going to go this route, this is what you need to.
I fucking hate talking about like myself like that. And the reason why I hate that is because like don't think it's a good idea. Not that it's a good idea. I think that it could be like misrepresented. I think I could misrepresent myself. I don't know. Maybe that's a question for Dave or some shit like that. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think there's
okay. So maybe I'll touch on it. Like
you work really hard.
Yeah, I work a lot. Yeah. So I'll do whatever it takes really to get whatever job I need to get done.
Yeah.
I'll work as long as I need to work to get something done. Humility. I take advice from as many people that I possibly can. I never turn down constructive. I don't know. I don't remember the last time somebody brought something to me or somebody had an idea or a concept or whatever, and I just fucking was like, no, not happening. I don't remember if I've even ever done that. To be honest,
not that you're going to take everybody's idea, but you're at least going to listen
100%.
And process it and then decide.
Yeah. I feel what I especially did this in the beginning. I would let people. It actually. This is actually kind of funny. So in the beginning, maybe not even the beginning, maybe even up until like a couple of years ago where I wasn't on social media. Like the social media thing for me is like fucking new, right? Like I remember even before I got on social media, all the companies were on social media. I was like very much against it. I didn't want people knowing what I had going on and this and that. I actually had like this thing in the back of my mind where it was like, if people found out if I was successful and I had this and I had that, it would actually hold back my brands that I own, right? Which is actually the exact opposite, because once people kind of like see me and get to know me, I feel like I'm a real person, and I don't come off as like this guy that is better than anybody, because I truly don't feel like I am better than anybody. I don't feel that way at all. So I think that.
Do you think that was like some sort of? Well, I got like excuse or anything. Like I'm afraid to put myself out there, because I had that.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't post anything before. Right?
Well, yeah, because I truly felt that like people wouldn't receive that well, right? If I have a Lamborghini, so this is when I'm talking. Like I got my first Lamborghini. I didn't put myself out there. I was very like shy about it, right?
Well, what about even before the Lamborghini, right? Like,
yeah,
because I know for me, right?
Yeah.
Like,
What I'm getting at is. I would let people. So even what I'm getting at is like even when I had these cars before I was on social media and people knew I even had these cars, I would still let people talk as if I was like fucking like green as fuck in terms of like business ownership, real estate. I remember my uncle giving me advice. Okay, my fucking uncle, my dad's brother, was giving me advice on real estate. He had one property like fucking 20 years ago. Okay, and at this point. This was like going a couple years back. I had like 70 properties, and he didn't know that, because I don't really talk about it like that much, right? Like this was like before social media and all that stuff. And I remember him giving me like advice, and he's like, "Oh, so like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just closed on my last property." He's like, "Oh yeah, crazy." He's like, "How many do you have?" And I'm like, "Oh, at this point, like 68." And he's like, "What the fuck?" and like he didn't know, like he didn't know, right? So, but he actually in that conversation, he told me something that I actually ended up using.
There you go.
I don't remember what it was, but I remember in that conversation, he gave me a piece of advice that I was like, fuck, that makes sense. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
But I promise you this, if I would have told him and led with the fact that I own 68 properties, he never would have fucking told me.
That's so true. Oh, I don't know.
Because he would have, exactly. He would have stopped talking, because when you come to somebody like that as like, hey, I already know, prevents people from continuing.
For sure. Yeah. What do I have to tell this guy, right?
So I've always tried to like, especially in the beginning, like listen more and talk way less.
That's so good.
Because when you listen, you let other people talk, and you never know what they're going to be able that they're going to say that you're going to be able to use.
Yeah. You talk, you're just regurgitating what you already know.
Because I don't fucking know everything.
Right.
Like, what do I know? I don't know anything.
But touching back on the social media thing, like this belief that other people really care what you're going to do, and basically letting your opinion of what you think their opinion might be of you stopping you from doing what you want to do, whether posting or not posting, is something I think everybody struggles with. I think that would be the same if you're even starting a business or getting into real estate. You know, how many people call me and say, "Oh, well, like my dad doesn't really think this is a good idea." I talked to a kid the other day. He's going down a certain path of school and going to try to be a police officer and all this stuff. And he's like, "Oh, I wanted to go into real estate, but my parents don't think it's a good idea."
Why?
And I'm like,
what's the reason?
Because it's not a safe, steady job.
Holy fuck.
And I said, so you're going to do what I did, and I wasted 11 years of my life at a job I hated. And
like, here's the thing too. Like, it's not like, he wants to become an agent. Is that what you're saying?
Agent / investor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, it's not a bad idea to go down that path. But my point is he's letting somebody else dictate what he does. And if you don't change that at some point, you will stay stuck where you are, because people are always going to dictate what you do. Yeah. The system is designed to kind of keep people where they are. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Very few people help lift other people up. Yeah. Right. Like your parents, friends, and family in general, your employer. Yeah. Whoever, right? The system, the education system. That's actually
kind of a goal that I have for our guys.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying, Dave?
And
that's like a huge goal, because I know, listen, I know a lot of people have aspirations to start their own businesses and stuff like that, but some people just can't stomach it. Like I actually don't recommend my life for fucking anybody. It's tough. Like I have a really tough life. Like I'm fucking constantly stressed. Like it's tough. Like I didn't, like two nights this past week, 2 fucking nights I didn't sleep. like maybe a wink. Like I didn't sleep. I just didn't fucking sleep.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's very rough, right? And so I don't recommend it, but what I want to do is what my goal is to allow these guys that work for me. I don't even like saying that shit. I don't even like using the term work for me. We work together.
It's like working with me.
These guys work, Dave works with me.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Feel like it's a team.
Yeah, it's 100%. And he will, I will do whatever I can to help him out, help the other guys out that because they're a part of this.
Yeah. You know what I mean? That's the difference between a leader and a boss. A boss will keep you in subjection.
Yeah.
A leader will lead you wherever you want to go.
They need to feel like what we're doing here.
For sure.
They need to feel it. They need to know it. They need to feel it. They need to reap the rewards of it, and they will.
Absolutely.
And we're on some big shit here. So
it's huge.
So they need to they need to feel that.
Yeah, and then touching on your lifestyle.
That's what I feel too. Is go ahead. I'm gonna interrupt your ass. Yeah. Anyways,
I was gonna say, touching on your lifestyle. The reason that I have focused on real estate is because I don't want your lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's too much work for me. It's too many long nights. It's too many hours. Real estate for me is a little bit more passive. It's not completely passive. I get calls. I got a call at midnight last night. Tenant locked himself out. Blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yeah.
Literally, it's about to pass it. But
Dave.
But it's not. It's not.
Sure, it wasn't Dave.
Anyways, my point is, it's a little bit more passive, right? So, I think the ideal situation would be, I don't know, do both, right?
Yeah.
I'd love to have an e-commerce business producing cash flow to take it and buy real estate. But I think real estate ownership is for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether or not you do e-commerce, that's kind of a separate story. But you're starting to get a feel for what it takes to get to go down this path and be successful. You got to do a lot of work and stand out. You've been grinding at this for a decade.
Oh, more than that.
Right? Like 10, 15 years.
2007. Think.
And how many years did it take you to say, okay, I've not that you've made it and you've stopped working, but okay, this is real. I'm actually making money.
Yeah,
and whatever.
I think the key is I never felt. I still don't feel that way.
When
I
did
really
you start
actually
making
don't.
What you would have considered at the time good money, where you're like, oh, this is actually supporting my lifestyle and helping me get ahead.
So here's another caveat too. I don't have a crazy lifestyle, right? I know I have crazy things. Mm-hmm. But I don't live a crazy lifestyle.
Yeah, true. You work most of the time.
Yeah. So I don't have this crazy fucking wild out lifestyle. Don't get me wrong. Someday it might be nice, but I'm not you'll never find me in the club,
pop bottles.
Blasting fucking Moet all over the place. You're not gonna see me doing that shit. You're gonna see me in the club with a fucking Smirnoff vodka water. You know what I'm saying?
House vodka, please.
House vodka. None of that fucking Grey Goose shit. But you're gonna I'm just not.
And you won't even take a toll road if we're
no tolls, no.
So funny story. We're in Florida and we accidentally find ourselves on a toll road, and Dan loses his mind. I said, Dan, the bill's gonna be $3. Just relax. And he's like, get me off this freaking toll road, bro. I don't want. And what you basically said was, I don't mind spending money. I just don't like spending money on stupid shit.
Exactly. Yeah. Unnecessary money.
Yeah.
Don't get if the toll road would have saved us a solid fucking good amount of time, the fucking fact of the matter was it's I'm spending I don't even know what it was. It was fine. It was a couple bucks, but I'm we're not making any better time. And then you fucked us because you're our navigator and you fucked me on it. Okay.
Well, I'm busy bracing for my life because you're driving like an animal. Anyways, funny story. But I think the point is there that no matter how much success you have, the mindset is still the same which is, I don't like to spend money on stupid stuff. I don't mind investing it in my business or real estate.
Yeah.
And I've developed that too, where it's like, I don't mind dropping 150 grand on a triplex for a down payment.
Yeah.
But this, this $200 like necklace or something, whatever, I don't really. No, it's become harder to do it.
And I don't like spending money on stuff that I can't either, number one, sell for at least the same amount, or number two, it'll make money. It'll make money, right? Yeah. Or at least I have like I get amazing value from it. Like sure. I'm frugal that way.
Yeah,
I still am.
I want to touch on this point. I think the middle class and the difference between the middle class and rich, one of the big ones is middle class focus on price. This is a common saying. I'm not inventing the wheel here, but middle class focuses on price. Rich people focus on value. I don't have any problem dropping a lot of money on valuable things, right? Like I'll spend more money and buy a great investment property. I find the middle class people without the right mindset, they're focusing on the cheap property. Yeah. They're focusing on the cheap car. Yeah. They're focusing on the cheap clothes. Those are going to wear down way quicker, right? It's going to cost you more money in the long run. But and I think that goes to your point, right? There's just no value in dropping $3 for this toll roads, right? Like there's no value.
No, there's no value.
If there was value, I'd have no problem doing it.
Like I don't buy like expensive clothes. Like I don't.
What about all your Supreme?
What the shoes? I like shoes. Like that's not, but I can always sell those shoes, right? Like I'm not selling like.
I've heard you say this even for the cars you buy, right? Yeah. Like you're like, this will hold its value, and I can probably sell this for more than I bought it for. And I'm like, I didn't think you were buying it for those reasons, but in your minds, I think people that understand money develop a certain mindset, and this is the mindset right here. It's not about price; it's about value. It's not about buying stupid stuff. It's about buying stuff that's going to hold its value or appreciate. In general, you're not going to never buy a depreciating asset, but like this mindset just takes over. Yeah, and that's why the rich get richer over time, right? So
for sure, yeah.
But I don't know. I guess if we had to sum up the argument, there is no answer here, right? I think if you're going to go
for e-commerce,
well,
I guess the topic is what's more profitable, e-commerce or real estate?
Yeah, that's a good point.
E-commerce.
Yeah.
Now I say that with a caveat, though. Is that it's much more difficult. You're typically going to be putting in way more time. So the risk reward is much higher with e-commerce.
You could probably scale way more quickly. You could probably develop cash flow to support your lifestyle way quicker than in real estate.
The profit margins are greater, but there's a risk reward there, right? Because
more competition.
Yeah, it's hard to fail at real estate. It's actually fucking hard.
It's borderline impossible. In my opinion.
Like how are you going to fail
unless you're a complete?
You got to be a pretty big fucking dud.
Yeah, seriously.
Like and not want to like succeed at it, right? But e-commerce is fucking real easy to fail. Yeah, like super easy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So I guess there is no right answer. It's the right answer for you.
I guess what you'd have to do is you'd have to like figure out a way how to measure the risk reward of e-commerce and compare it to real estate, right? Like how much is the risk reward of e-commerce worth to someone versus the, arguably certain level of passivity and safety of real estate.
Yeah,
like
risk reward versus safety and also the level of activeness to start a business versus the passiveness relatively of real estate.
So like I put it this way, like is the amount of work risk reward worth, $1 million versus like $100,000 compared to real estate? Like,
and are you going to work?
Yeah, are you going to trade 16 hours, 20 hours a day trying to build an e-commerce business successfully versus like, and you get $1 million a year, you'll make $1 million a year doing that? Or do you want to work 8 hours a day and make, say, $100,000 a year owning a real estate portfolio? Like, what do you want to do? A lot of people will say, I want to make $1 million, and theoretically thinking in their head, well, I could work 16, 20 hours a day, but you fucking can't.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't.
You can and you won't.
You can't and you won't. Yeah. Because it's easy to think that you can, but when it really fucking comes down to it, it ain't happening.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to have the right mindset, and you also have the right, have to have the right lifestyle. Yeah. Like if you got 3 kids and a family and you're more of a family man.
Yeah. But you said it yourself, right? You're in real estate because you don't want that kind of lifestyle.
Yes, so exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh.
Done.
Trigger.